Hello, just to let you know, this is the second episode that's come out today. So if you've not seen today's first episode, then go back and watch it. There'll be a link on top of the screen right now, and then come back for this one. It's a double upload day, so obviously that means 2 videos today. I don't know why to explain that. Hello and welcome back to Around The Bloc, and thankfully, fingers crossed, the audio is working properly this time around. I massively apologise for the earlier video and the audio just being broken on it and me sounding like I'm just a bit slow. I don't quite know how it happens. It's not happened for quite a while, and the thing is I don't quite understand because my microphone's plugged in literally to my computer all the time. So I'm not taking it out, I'm not fiddling with the wires or anything like that, so I'm not entirely sure why it just goes like that every now and again, but hopefully it's all fixed now and it's sounding normal. What you will have noticed though, earlier on the video was a bit shorter than usual because I was trying to cut bits out so you don't have to listen to me talking really weirdly for 20 minutes. 12 minutes was long enough I think at that stage, so there were bits that we've cut out that we'll talk about a bit later on in today's episode, mostly around transfers. In the meantime, today we've got 2 games coming up for you. A slight change to the schedule. We're playing Monor first in the Hungarian Cup third round. They're a third division side, but I thought it'd be a great chance for you to see some of our youth prospects play in a game, which I thought would be quite good. And then we've got ZTE to finish off the first part of the season before we head into the winter break, which is exciting. In even better news, though, we've not lost a game. In fact, we've won every single game since you were last here for the Peripherals and Haladas game. It's been absolutely superb. First things first, we took over a newly promoted side who, if you say in English, I think sounds a bit rude if you pronounce that name properly. So we'll just call them Kickoff. Okay, for now. We'll call them that. We beat them 2-1 with Kamar and Byro scoring the goals in that one. We then had a cup game against a team that I cannot pronounce, and we won on penalties with the youth side that we put out. Again, move my head out of the way, you can see that we played quite a young side in that game with some youth prospects, so it was good to get the win in that game in the end. We should do better because we are playing a third division side today rather than the team top of the second division. And then, although saying that, team on top of second division, we beat them with our youth team. That's pretty impressive. And then we had a fantastic November. Kis Varda, a newly promoted side, we beat them 4-0 with Tusi and Lenny Gel picking up braces in that game. We then managed to beat Budapest Honved 1-0 with Jordanov scoring the goal very late on in that game. We then beat Újpest 3-2, Gornek, Byro and Mazarin with the goals, and then against Diosgior last time out, Farkas, a Georgievich brace and a Dardi goal at the end secured the victory. So as you can see in the league table, we are currently top of it by 4 points ahead of Ferencváros, which is absolutely fantastic. Keep this kind of form going, and we could be winning the league title come the end of the season. Helped along, of course, by Bence Byro and Lenny Gel with the goals there. We'll talk about these 2 chaps in just a moment. In the meantime, I meant to talk to you about this a while ago, but completely forgot about it. We do have an extra European place. Now, obviously, Hungarian footballers moved up the rankings a little bit. Not because of us, we've not done anything to do with that. It's other teams doing well in European football. So what it means is there's now 2 Champions League places, a Europa League place, and 2 Europa Conference League places. I'm a little bit confused as to why the Europa League place and the Europa Conference League place, they're both dependent on the winner of the Hungarian Cup. Not quite sure why they both are, but that's what it says. The winner goes into the Champions League Champions qualifying rounds, and the second place goes into the Champions League best place qualifying rounds. And actually, it might be a bit more advantage to finish second to go through these best place qualifying rounds, because in the Champions rounds, you are playing against teams that have won their domestic divisions. So you could come against teams like Celtics or teams that have won like the Ukrainian, like Shakhtar Donetsk and things like that. That's a little worrying. Whereas in this best place qualifying round, you could be coming against teams that have come like second and third in their divisions. But of course, that does also throw up the chance of playing like the team that came 4th in the Premier League or Ligue 1 or the Bundesliga or La Liga, something like that. So I think earlier on, it's maybe a bit more an advantage to be in this best place round rather than the Champions round. But of course, we want to win the league title first and foremost, so we're not going to worry about that too much, but we might have some tough rounds if we win the league. Anyway, I said I was going to talk to you about Bence Byro. He's done pretty well, scoring plenty of goals, finding some form this season, getting a goal almost every other game, so he's playing brilliantly well. Hopefully we'll score plenty more goals for us. But the real talent is Lenny Gel, all right? He's made 9 starts for us and scored 5 goals, which I think is pretty impressive. Now, this was actually better before because he had like 6 starts and 5 goals. He's not scored a goal for a little while, but an 8.02 average rating. He's been an absolutely inspired signing. He's been fantastic, but unfortunately, when he signed for us, he insisted on having a minimum fee release clause. So we had to put that in there at £1.5 million. That's what he wanted. And if he keeps getting ratings of above 8, as he's been getting so far this season on average, someone's going to sign him at some point for £1.5 million. So I want to offer him a new contract as a star player. Let's remove this big wage rise. We don't want to give him too much money. And hopefully we can get rid of this minimum fee release clause. We can't. It's been reduced to £1 million now. We can't even increase it. Okay, so we'll walk away from this contract negotiation, pretend that we didn't do it or something like that. But that is an issue. That is a big issue that we might lose Lenny Gel in the middle of the season. Although he did actually start the season playing for Budapest Honved. And he's played for us. And you can only play for 2 teams in a season, can't you? So actually, we might not lose him in January, but the way he's been playing, I think it's likely we'll lose him next season for only £1.5 million because of this stupid minimum fee release clause. Anyway, more on transfers and stuff later on in today's episode. In the meantime, let's get on with this first game against Monar. And this is the team that we're going to be using for the game. A bit of a backup team. We've got Kiss in goal. We've got a mixture of youth and backup. So Kiss is our backup goalkeeper. He's starting in goal for us today. I think he's one of his first starts of the season, really. We've got Antovsky and Geet, who aren't getting much game time at the moment. They're starting at right back and left back to give them some time. But we do have a young combination of Timo Berkozo in centre-back position, of course, one of our young centre-backs, and Sam Sheltsku as well, also at the back as well, looking pretty good. So hopefully they have a good game themselves. Just in front of them, we have another youngster called Frocklick. Sounds like a cool name. Either way, he's in the CDM position and should be quite decent for as a 17-year-old. In front of that, we've got Rossili. He's playing first-team football, but obviously he's still a youngster, so gets to play this game. Up to 3-star current ability now. He is rapidly improving. Alongside him is Joel Schmidstack as well, which you love to see as well. Looking like another good, fantastic player in there. Kalmar and Horvath on the wings. They're mostly usual players. Kalmar not getting too much game time, and Horvath is the youngster, to be fair, so he's getting some more game time today as well. Alongside Kriesh up front, who is our young striker with 17 finishing. He looks fantastic, so hopefully he starts off today brilliantly well and we get a fantastic win. He scores a hat-trick. You love to see it. Right then, kickoff is upon us today against Monar, the team from the 3rd division at least. Yeah, 3rd division, Hungarian 3rd division. Okay, so should be a routine victory even for our youngsters out there today, I think. We've got some really, really good players in this squad, like players that I'd be, happy to put in the first team, obviously, because we have Rossili and Horvath playing a lot of first-team football. I think Kriesh needs to get a bit more game time as well, but Byro is in pretty good form, scoring a goal every other game, so it's hard to take him out as well. So we do have some really good youngsters. A few of the other ones not quite ready for first-team football just yet, and not every good youth players here, because quite a few of them are out on loan. So some of the Patreon players, of course, are out on loan and things like that, but some we didn't get good loan offers for, or just didn't want to go out on loan and things like that, so they stayed at the club instead. We are dominating the proceedings right now, 8 shots to 1 shot, so surely it's going to be a matter of time before we score a goal, and potentially we could do it now as Horvath gets it back to Gita from the throw-in, into Joel Schmidstack, into Antovsky into the middle. God, not quite the best cross in the world though, but Timo Berkozo gets on the good ball there. Schmidstack out towards Kalmar to put this one into the middle. He does, and Kriesh is there. He's got 17 finishing. I mean, you struggle to find players with that high finishing, and we've got a 17-year-old with 17 finishing. He gets his 3rd of the season there. You love to see it. The first goal of today as Kalmar puts the ball into the middle. Kriesh there. You love to see it. He must have joined the club when he was very young, because Kriesh is 17 years old, and he predates us being at the club, so it must have been like 15 or so when he signed for the club in his youth contract. But we just got another one, Attila Horvath's free kick in towards David Frolik, and you love to see it. The header just beating the keeper into the far side of the net, 2-0. Brilliant stuff then, half-time, a good result. If we can just keep this going, we'll be into the... Is it 4th round or quarterfinals next? I think it's probably 4th round. After the agonising defeat in the semi-final last year, I really think we can go on to win it this season. I think we've got a really good team, and if we can keep putting the youth team out for that, the games against rubbish opposition and things like that, then I think we could be onto a winner this season. Obviously, when it gets to the business end of the competition and we want to win it, we put the big boys out there, the first team. But at the moment, these lads are doing really, really well. Gita on the ball for us into Joel at the back as he looks to bring it forward across to, well, I'm not quite sure where the ball was going to be fair, but it was a ball at least, but we have retained possession as Gita gets it into Horvath, into Rossili in the middle of the park, who gets past his man. A great ball forward to Kriesh. Kriesh to score his second, but puts it just wide. Tell you what, it's really enjoyable to watch these youngsters do really, really well. With 20 minutes to go or so, we're going to make some changes just to keep them rested and refreshed to an extent. We're going to bring this guy Sebastian on for Sam Sheltsky at the back, just because he's looking a little tired. Don't want to risk injury or anything like that. And the same with Joel, he's looking a bit tired as well. So we're going to bring on Zoltan Nagy instead. I'll tell you what, it's been a pretty routine game. We've been professional, we've got the job done, and as you can see, we are closing down the clock now. Can we grab a third goal just for the full-time whistle? Well, not quite, unfortunately, there. In fact, is it Molnar going to get a consolation goal? Let's keep a clean sheet, lads. You've played so well. We deserve a clean sheet today, and we've got the ball out of defence a little bit. The ball up towards Kriesh is not the best one. In fact, I think it's more of a clearance than a pass, really. But if we can just grab one more at the end, that would be the icing on the cake for us right now, as Kriesh does get on the ball, beats the defence in the box, shoots, saved. It's going to be a 2-0 victory. We'll take that, and the clean sheet as well. Great performance from the youngsters here today. So, into the next round. You love to see it. Thank you very much to the youngsters there for that nice victory. Won the third round, £7,000 in the bank as well, and apparently someone was looking at Attila Horvath. We don't want to sell him. He looks like a very good player for the future, definitely. So we've got a couple of days off now until this ZTE game, but it doesn't matter too much because a mass majority of our first team players are already fit and ready to go because we play the youngsters, of course. The fourth round is against this team who are also from the third division by the look of things. So again, that looks like another good fixture for the youngsters to perform in next time out. And so back now for the ZTE game. The team is looking much more familiar for you with the starting lineup of Mreza in goal, Sloboda, Yordonov, Gornek and Traore, Djordjevic in the middle alongside Lenny Gel and Rossili, who is back in the starting lineup. He's the only player that's retaining his place from earlier on. But what you do love to see is full green links between that midfield. That is absolutely perfect. I don't really want to change this midfield at all, ever at the moment. I feel like we've got such a strong midfield right now. After right at the start of the season thinking that we had a bit of a weak one, it's probably one of our best areas of the pitch now, so I'm really happy with that. Mazarin and Farkas in the attacking midfield wing positions, and Biro starting up front for us today. Hopefully he grabs some more goals to add to his 11 goals already this season. Right then, kickoff is upon us once again. Another win here would end a superb start to the season. With 11 wins, 4 draws right now because we're drawing this one. So it could be 12 wins, 3 draws and 0 losses. The only team not to lose a game this season yet. We've been absolutely superb with our performances. I'm really pleased with it. Now, I did actually forget to show you the pre-season preview at the start of the season, but we are favourites to come fourth this season. So we are expected to be right up there like we were last season by the end of it when we actually started performing well when I joined the club. Obviously, before that, we were terrible, apparently, but the team was always good enough to get into that top half. They just didn't have the manager, I suppose. And obviously, I've come in with the TomFM effect, and we've turned it around to the point where we are serious title contenders this season, surely. Half-time, though, and it's only 0-0 despite having a vast majority of possession and shots in the game. So only time will tell when we score a goal. Sure, we'll get one in the second half. But obviously, we're doing really well right now. As it stands, 5 points clear off Ferencváros, although they do have a game in hand on us. So I think it's going to be a real battle with us and Ferencváros towards the end of the season. And there is a reason as to why Ferencváros are the best team in Hungary. So I would still say they are the favourites to win the title. I feel like we've got to start slipping up at some point. I mean, an unbeaten season is very rare, so we're going to lose some games at some point, I feel. But if we can just keep going and actually beat Ferencváros, that would be absolutely fantastic. Byron not playing well today, so Cortez is going to come on for him. Farkas not playing brilliantly well either. Neither's Ross. No one's playing brilliantly well. Everyone's looking nervous. Farkas is going to come off for Tusi on that right-hand side. We'll keep the rest of the players on. Let's say show some passion and let's go very attacking for the final 15 minutes or so. We don't want to draw this. After having such a good run of form and we've won like 10, 11, 12 games or so in a row. Let's not finish it off with a draw, but at least we're not losing. At least we're not conceding. Struggling to find the back of the net against ZTE today. They are quite a defensive formation, but the game does finish 0-0. It's not a loss, but it's not a win. And we look at the stats there. You think we deserve a couple goals in that game, but at least we didn't lose it. That's the main thing. We've still got that unbeaten record throughout the season. Cortez remains upbeat despite not scoring in 12 matches. Cortez probably needs to go at some point. That's 16 games now in a row without losing. And I think that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games in a row we won. Wow. And now we've had a draw. But still, I mean, what a season so far. So as you can see, we are now entering the winter break. So we're going to be off for nearly 2 months, actually, until we come back for that Ferencváros game. I think next episode, we come back for MTK and Ferencváros, because I think that Ferencváros game will be very important to do. But in the meantime, winter break's coming around, and it's time to talk about transfers. Now, you will have briefly seen this on last episode. I spoke about this shortlist for about 5 minutes, but I cut most of it because my voice sounded terrible. Now, there's 3 players on here that I'm not entirely sure why they're on it, if I'm honest with you, or maybe 2 players. I think we're definitely this guy and this guy. I'm not quite sure why they're on it, so we're going to remove these guys from the shortlist. But essentially, when we had that £6 million to spend and we brought in Lenny Gel and the defender Gore, I can't remember his name now. Yordanov, I can't remember what he's called. What's he called? Yordanov, that's the one. Yordanov. Grigory Yordanov, that's the one. Anyway, we brought those 2 players in. We also had bids in for every single one of these players. But the issue was, all of these players didn't want to sign contracts with us. We had bids accepted for them. The clubs were happy to sell them. These players just didn't want to join us, essentially. So we've got this defender at Inter Milan. We tried to get him in on loan. Inter were like, yes, take him on loan. He didn't want to give a contract to us. He just said, no, I'm not talking to you. Horny. We could pay £875,000 for him, but he wanted 15 grand a week. And actually, I wasn't prepared to spend 15% of our wage budget on Horny. Despite him having an amazing name, I just wasn't prepared to spend that much money on him, but we'll try again in January. This guy, Zoltan Horvath, 17 years old, already got 4.5-star current ability. We could have him for £1.2 million, but he wouldn't want to sign a contract with us. He just didn't want to come to the club because we're not big enough for him. He wants to move on to a much bigger club, apparently. So, I mean, it makes sense. He's got a lot of potential, so it makes a lot of sense. This centre midfielder didn't want to sign a contract with us. He was very expensive, actually, over £2 million, but just didn't want to sign a contract. The same with Antonio from Slaven Bratislava, £1.3 million we could get him for, but just didn't want to sign a contract. And the issue is, none of them want to sign a contract. Molnar did, but for like £13,000 a week. And again, I don't want to spend 13% of our wages on a player that's maybe not quite much better than what we've already got. So I will bid for a lot of these players again, but I just don't expect them to be signing contracts if we didn't want to sign them last time. So we might have to go again in next season when we get maybe Champions League football if we win the league or something like that. But these are my main targets for now. If we get them, brilliant. If we don't, we go again another day. And also, before we leave for the winter break as well, I have just signed, if we can find it, somewhere up here, my profile, I've just signed a new contract. My contract was due to end at the end of this season, and the board came to me and said, Tom, we want to have a contract, so here's a contract offer for you. They offered me £4 grand a week. I wanted to save some money for the club, so I took it down to 2.5k per week, but for 3 years, which is quite a long contract, but it gives us some security, and it gives us a bit of an action plan as to what we want to do with this club before moving on, I think. In other news as well, I've also just been given my National A licence coaching course, which is brilliant. So we're going to ask for another coaching course in a minute. But if you're interested, as I'm sure you probably are, my coaching attributes are really increasing our level of discipline up to 17 now, which is pretty decent. What does this actually affect? Affects how likely a player is to bring their concerns to an individual. A stricter person will find they are less likely to bring minor issues to you, which is brilliant. They don't bring minor issues to me at all, which is great. But obviously, we're not done here yet with our coaching courses. We've only got the National A's licence. We've got the Continental licences to go as well. So, start a coaching course. Can we please start our Continental C licence? And they've said yes. You'll love to see it. So, Continental C licence is going to be done in 4 months' time. You'll also see my reputation is now up to 2.5 stars. It's risen rapidly since we've been at Puskas. It was 2 star when we joined, but now it's a 2.5 star. You love to see it. What a time to be a manager. Right then, well, thank you ever so much for watching today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed this bonus episode. Of course, drop a like on today's video, because if we get 2,000 likes across all videos this week, we're getting a bonus episode next week as well. So if you want another one like this, then make sure you do drop a like on the video for me. Would massively appreciate it. If you're new around here, subscribe to the channel as well for more Football Manager content, and I will see you tomorrow for another episode. So have a good one. Goodbye.